imagine that one day when you got on the train, people were getting beaten, blood were everywhere. At that kind of situation, what are you guys gonna do? Okay, Leo.
I'm gonna call the police.
Okay, so
I'm gonna get off that train.
the last one.
I gotta join and fight with them.
Okay, Leo, you're definitely gonna call the police, right?
Yeah.
But when the call was reached, the unexpected thing happened.
Reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a message after the beep.
And today, I'm gonna talk about the 721 Yuen attack. As for what happened in Yuen, let me first introduce you what and where is Yuen. Yuen is a part of Hong Kong countryside, and it occupies 136 square kilometers with a population of 130,000. Due to the large land acquisition policy, a large amount of benefits were brought. And this disaster will happen at 21st on July at 2019 in the Yuen train station. On that day afternoon, on the other side of the Hong Kong island, a large scale of parade of protests were taken. More than 400,000 people were calling for the anti-extradition. That's a purpose of. And about 6:45, back to Yuen, a large amount of men in white started to gather near the Yuen train station because they think that the people who went to the Hong Kong island, the protesters, gonna come back to Yuen and make trouble. At 9:30, more than 700 men started to gather into groups, and all of them were wearing white t-shirts, and they were also holding weapons such as wooden poles, wooden sticks, and even iron bar. By 10:45, 100 men in white started to gather inside the train station, and they started to block the exit of the station. At that moment, hundreds of citizens were trapped inside. There were youth, elder, and even children. But the most frightening thing is just about to happen. By 10:55, the mob started to break into the train station and started to attack indiscriminately. At first, they were targeting those who were wearing black t-shirts, the dress code of the protester. But then, they started to attack the passenger and even the bystander. At 11:02, the citizens had no way to retreat, and they started to rush up to the stairs. In this picture, you can see that the stairs were crowded with citizens marching upward, and behind them, the mob were chasing them while they were also beating them. Blood-curdling screams and cries of terror were filled. By 11:08, meanwhile the train was stopping on the platform. Some of the passengers have already seen that on the live broadcast of social media that people were attacking in Yuen. And they started to got off the train quickly, but the mob have already run up to the platform. Some of them were chasing their target, and some of them started to attack the passenger inside the train. The cries of despair were filled. On the train, some passengers have had injuries, and the blood of the injured were stained on the clothes of the mob. At that moment, almost everyone were pressing the emergency button to call the driver for help. But this causes the train to be unable to leave. The passengers were trapped inside a train with no way out, like a death train. At 11:14, the train finally left. The mob cheered and clapped, feeling like victorious. But in most of the eyes of Hong Kong people, the past 12 minutes was just a terror attack carried by the cooperation with the cop and the triad. And right now, you might wonder, hundreds of people being gathered at 6 p.m. till the terror attack in Yuen station. where were the police? It's undeniable that the timing is quite coincidence that while one group of mob left, the other group of the police just arrived. And the CCTV shows that while the first group of police arrived to the Yuen train station while they're getting on the elevator here, the mob were leaving through the same exit. At that moment, the police didn't even take any action to stop or arrest them. And the more obvious thing is that in 10:55, the CCTV shows that 3 police officers had passed by the Yuen train station. But they didn't even left for 1 minute and left, though there were a large amount of men in white gathering together with weapons. Their report said that they didn't see any violence. And the reason why 721 happened are complex. But one major factor is that on June 2019, while a widespread protest began to start to play against the proposed law, the protest led the tension between the protester and the government supporters have been high. And another factor is that some reports said that the triads in Yuen have already been hired by the pro-government to attack the protester. And right now, I'm going to give you some tips that what can you do while you are inside this kind of situation. First of all, don't panic. Because if you panic, you cannot think about the right stuff to do. And at that situation, people were getting beaten. Second, find somewhere safe to hide. Because in that day, people were getting beaten and then many people were injured, maybe even yourself. So finding a safe place to hide is really important to take care of yourself or others. Lastly, quickly change a clothes into white. Because in 721, the people were targeting those who are not wearing white clothes. To conclude, Hong Kong has been long known as the safest city in the world. But after the impact of the 721, do you still consider Hong Kong to be safe? Thank you.
Well done. Okay, guys.